Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds podcast. I'm your host tonight, Topher Sheeler. I'm joined by my co-host, the one and only, Mr. Rob Adams.
What up, what up?
Kind of threw you off there a little bit, didn't it? I had a little something come up in the throat there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one of my favorite guests that we have ever had on the podcast. She's back for another round. Rob, Mrs. Kate Strong is on tonight. Tell us what's on the docket.
Oh, man, I don't even know where to start with this gal. She is my shaman. She is a mentor, a coach for me. And for me to say that is I don't even know if you know what a great compliment that is, because it takes so much for me to trust someone at the level that I trust you. And the way that you've changed my life, I'm so excited to break open this kind of new area that you're stepping into, the clarity code.
Yes.
Let's get to work.
Absolutely wonderful. You know the drill. Give us 1 second. We'll hop right in.
Welcome to the American Masterminds podcast.
Today's episode is brought to you by Blue Logic.
What if the water your kids drink every day wasn't as clean as you think? Invisible contaminants, lead, arsenic, PFAS can slip through ordinary filters. With Blue Logic's whole home purification, you remove up to 99.8% of what shouldn't be there. Give your family water that's as pure as your love for them. Call now or visit BlueLogicWater.com to schedule your free in-home water test. Because what touches your family every day should never be left to chance. Blue Logic Water, pure protection for the ones you love most.
Let's just jump right in, Kate, and we'll just talk a little bit about the clarity code, talk about kind of where it came from. I love the story about you're discovering or the journey that you were on with your daughter and how you came to that. And then the value that it provides and really what we're trying to accomplish here. As I read through that, I thought to myself, this is something I wished I would have learned in my 20s. I wished I would have learned this. I'm barely coming to a point through my studying and my learning and my belief in because I was raised to believe that we just have to get better at what we're not good at.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like keep trying, keep working on it, keep grinding at that. And the older that I get, the more I realize that I have areas of genius, areas of absolute, I'm brilliant in this space. And if I can stay in that space, not only am I happier, but I'm more successful. I have more fulfillment in my life. But it took me until my late 40s, early 50s to start to learn these things by reading books like Rocket Fuel and doing all of these disciplines of like the Enneagram and things. And so as you were talking to me about this, I'm like, this is such a great idea. And so what are the different personality tests that you like to leverage?
Yeah, I appreciate this conversation and thank you for asking. And you know, Rob, when we are kids, we bring our report card home and our parents focus on what grade? The lowest every time. What are you going to do to get this grade up? How are you going to get better at this? So there's a psychiatrist in the 1950s. His name is Don Clifton. And he said, what if instead of studying what's wrong with people, we study what's right with people? And I love that because it's all about focusing on your strengths and what you're naturally good at. God-given strengths. This is how you were born. You know, we devalue those strengths often because it comes too easy. And we were taught growing up that hard work equals success. If you work hard and you grind and you hustle, then you'll be successful.
Suffering is necessary.
Yes. But what about smart work? What if we could just work smarter instead of harder? So this was something that came into my orbit when I was running teams in the world of business. I was a CEO and a manager for teams. And when we had a certified Clifton strength coach come in and do the strength assessment for everyone on the team, the guarantee was you will be more successful. You will make more money. You will be, you'll have better job satisfaction. People will say yes and be excited about it because they'll feel confident when they do that. And so we're going to maximize everyone's strengths here. So I took that concept when I shifted into coaching and I just started doing it with all my clients just so I could know from a coach how to support them, how to know what their natural strengths were.
How to just communicate with them.
100%, right?
Sometimes I don't hear the message that my counselor has to say because of the way they're saying it.
Exactly.
Have you ever done that before?
100%, right? And so the person's taking the assessment, not me. And the Strength Finder shows you your 34 strengths, which we all have them. They just show up in different places. But most of the time, people will just do the top 5 because that's the less expensive version. And if you know your top 5 strengths, it tells you a lot. But I like to look at all of them because what I like to focus on too is let's look at the bottom of this. And this is what you say no to. Tell your boss no, tell your parents no, tell anyone no, I'm not great at that. Listen, I could figure it out, but it's not going to be the best it could be. It's going to take me a long time. So you're going to pay me more than you need to. So let's find someone else to do that. But let me tell you what I'm really good at. And so it gives a language to also be able to talk about what we're good at in a way that feels confident. And how often do we say yes to something because we want to impress someone or our boss asked us to do it? So I got to say yes. So I know for me as a leader and a boss that if someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm not going to do that because I'm not great at it, but let me tell you what I'm great at. Let's go.
Yeah, you can hear it.
I can hear it. So that's where it started. It started back when I was running businesses and companies in the corporate world with the Clifton Strengths. And then when I started into the coaching and I got turned on to something called the Enneagram. And again, this was my own work. This was my own life. The Enneagram shows us how we perceive the world and what motivates us based off our childhood experience. Well, this assessment is the most valuable in any relationships we have because it's based off our past. It's based off what we saw and perceived. It also has your heads and your tails. And we all have a heads and a tails. And even though we might not want to look at the tails, the shadow part, the sabotaging behaviors, they show up most frequently in relationships. And why? Because that's where we feel most vulnerable. So we show all parts of ourselves. You know, we've heard it said before that you treat the people that you love the most the worst. Well, it's because we feel vulnerable because we allow ourselves to show those parts of us. So
we feel safe.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't believe anyone's broken and I don't believe anyone needs to be fixed. I feel like what we need to do is better understand ourselves. And when we understand ourselves, we truly know who we are, then we can be in full acceptance. Here's my shadow. Here's my light. Here's my sabotaging behaviors.
So understanding ourselves equals freedom, equals confidence, equals strength. It equals all the things that we're chasing in these other spaces. I'm never going to be a professional baseball player. I won't. I just can't. It's not in my makeup. And I should know that. I shouldn't even apply for that job. And I can't tell you how many jobs I've applied for and worked at where I thought, that sounds like something I'd be interested in. And then I get in there and I hate it. Mm-hmm. I should have never, ever even raised my hand because I don't want to do a spreadsheet. There should never be a spreadsheet around me. I like the bottom line. Great. I don't care how you got there. But I didn't know that about myself. So, and
neither did I. And here's what I learned along the way, right? As I bring in this Enneagram for my clients, and then I start, learning about, what's my predictable success? Am I a strategic thinker? Am I a relationship builder? Am I a visionary? Am I an operator, a processor?
A helper?
I'm like you, Rob. I do not ask me to tell you step by step how to do something. I'm a manifesting generator, which means I am squirrely. I have ADHD. I'm going to skip steps. I'm not the person to come up with the process.
Just give me the end.
I'll tell you the ideas. I'm the visionary. I'll make sure everybody feels great and wonderful. I'll bring drinks and we'll feel great and kumbaya. But knowing that about myself is powerful, right? Because a lot of people want, and if you're running a business, you have to have a processor.
Yeah.
So the first person I learned to hire out is a processor. I can do the vision, the relationships. I can even do an operator. Give me a list and tell me step by step what to do. I can follow it.
Yes.
But I'm not going to create that list. So the most valuable person I can hire on my team is a processor. That was really helpful. That saved me a lot of money in business. So I bring that into the Clarity Code.
It also helps you be able to communicate with a processor. I have been around processors and I don't like them.
You don't speak the same language.
Oh my God, just decide. How hard is this? You know what I mean? And you and I, just so everyone knows, Kate and I are the exact, like our personality types are in alignment. We're both lunatics the same kind of way. So the thing I liked about the Enneagram and of these tests is that I had to, when I've tried to hire processors in the past, they just drove me crazy because I felt as though they were limiting my ability to run. They were like, well, what if, and how about, and oh my God. And, are we still talking about this? However, what I've learned is that if I can communicate to them in their language, I can be a little bit more persuasive maybe. And then I can also understand them. They're not trying to limit me. They're trying to protect me. They're trying to be, they've saved me tremendous stepping in piles of crap because they're necessary. And so I've got 2 of them in my life in the 2 areas, and you know who they are.
I just think it's so funny because anybody that spent any time with Rob, you can actually hear these conversations going on. These are real life conversations that are happening. I have no idea. Tell me what the bottom line is and I'll be on my way.
Yes.
I don't even want to know. Please don't. We've had meetings where we're like planning a motorcycle trip and I'm just like, just tell us, where are we going to go? Like, I don't even care how we get there.
The best thing we ever did was introduce the coin flip. Oh, a decision is happening. Here we go. Let's go.
We're going this way. Great. So I love that. And I love that. So let's talk about the Enneagram just for a second. I want to back it up. When I did the Enneagram the first time, I read the book and I'm like, I'm a 7. I picked my type. And then I had a hard time with it because I wasn't a 7. I wished I was.
You wanted to be. You're like, this is how I'd like to be.
This is who I would love. If I could identify with Super Rob, that's the guy. Nothing like that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, nothing. I'm a 2, which is a helper. And I'm like, I am no one's helper. I am not a helper. But then not only am I a 2, I'm a super helper. I'm not just helping you. I want to help thousands of people. And then I'm like, well, I mean,
add super in front of it and you've got Rob's trait.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that's cool about the Enneagram, Rob, and you know this because we've talked about it. So what's the sabotaging behavior of an Enneagram 2? Because it's important to know this, right?
Oh, yeah. Is sabotaging, there's a couple, but the biggest one is seeking approval, right?
The people pleaser.
People pleaser. And so I've got to be super careful. Like, just because Topher wants me to say that, I should be careful. I've got to be conscious of that because pleasing him in my personality type is often going to lead to resentment.
Yes.
Because I'm going to try hard to make you happy. And in so doing, I'm going to feel like I'm not being appreciated because appreciation is that's what that number needs in order to feel good about it. And I won't have enough appreciation because it'll never be enough. And so away we go into resentment. And can you imagine how that could sneak into a marriage? Can you imagine business partners? Like,
oh, for sure.
It's everywhere. And the thing is that if you're going to be successful in this life, you have to be successful in relation to those who you're with. Do you get it?
Yeah.
100%.
We're not successful by ourselves. I don't care who you are. You've got to have someone needs to be the person that's introducing you. Someone needs to be the person that's,
as great as Jordan was, there had to be a Pippin.
Yes.
Right?
Great
there you
point.
go.
Yeah, that's a great
point. That whole team. Rodman had his role, which was completely 180 degrees opposite of what Jordan was.
Well, even if you have the standalone, like a boxer, like if you have the Tyson had that coach, had that guy.
Yeah.
That was behind him, making sure.
As a matter of fact, when Cuss was done, Tyson was done.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's the relationships that are so important. And so as we talk about these personality tests, it's helped me be more relatable. I'm a professional communicator and I have to be able to communicate not just to the 80% that my personality lines up. There's 20% of the population out there that can't hear me because I'm too intense or I'm too, let's go. And so it's just a tremendous value understanding who you are. And so those are the 2. So we have the Clifton Strengths Finder.
The Enneagram.
Did we cover the Enneagram enough?
No, actually, as the audience here, can we back up a little bit? Is it Annie?
E-N-N-E.
E-N-N-E.
Enneagram.
Okay. Can we give a quick because I've never taken this test. I've never even heard of it other than today.
This is great. So it's a personality assessment and it tells you how you perceive the world and what motivates you based off your childhood experience.
Okay.
If you've ever heard of IFS, internal family systems or parts work, I use that specifically with clients and people who I'm helping work through some of these Enneagram things. Because again, these are the parts of us that show up, right, in that sabotaging behavior or whatever. We're doing it from a place, we'll use Rob's for example, this people pleaser. It's great until it's not, right? It's great and he feels good about it until now he is overgiven. He has neglected himself. He's in self-betrayal and he said yes to too many things that he shouldn't have said yes to. And now he's feeling resentful. So it's a really, really, really great tool to be able to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Okay. So just for clarification, it gives you 1 to 7?
1 to 9.
1 to 9.
Yeah.
And so you have one that's like your highest and then one that's
you have
kind of your lowest?
One that's your highest on this and then one that you wing, which would be kind of like where you also show up, right?
Okay.
Like, and then there's a subtype as well that most people don't even know about, but I use that because it gives me more clarity with clients. But, so that's the Enneagram. Going back to the Clifton strength, there are 34 strengths. You have your top 5 we really focus on. And then I like to focus on the ones that you're not great at, just so you can say, hey, that's not me, right? And within the Clifton Strength Finders, you also find out if you're more strategy, relationships, influencing, things like that. So those are just 2. And there are 3 more things that I do. And the reason I do this is because this clarity code is your blueprint. There is no one size fits all. Rob and I have a lot of things that are similar in the human design, which is how your energy works. It's how you recharge. It's how you magnetize things in your life. If you've heard the word manifestation, if you want to dial that in, know what your human design is because it's all energy. It's all the nervous system, right? So it's that subtle body, that energetic body.
How you reset your energy, how you, what you need to do in order to feel healthy. Like it's crazy. And the thing that I love about understanding these things and then putting them into the spot that you're doing is I've been to a ton of counselors. I've been to a ton of coaches and none of them have done what you're talking about, what you do. And in so doing, they just are like, they're making shit up. They're just seeing if this works. Well, I read a book once and let's talk about that where Kate knows who I am because she's seen how I show up, like my childhood, the whole thing. And so she could be like, oh, well, let's just back up. This is your tendency. This is where you're going. And so there's a higher level of knowing that gives you a much more effective coach.
Absolutely. So I do this with all my clients before I even have one session with them. And I send it to them and I say, take it or toss it, call BS on anything you want to, tell me what resonates, tell me what doesn't, and we'll start there. And so then when I'm coaching them, I'm really just guiding them back to themselves. I'm really just giving them some really good questions or some tools, like to use based off what their blueprint is. And I love this human design thing. And it's a little bit more spiritual energy. I'm a big believer in both. I think science and spirituality, there's a place for both. And so bringing those together. A couple of others that are included in this are predictable success, which we talked about before. That was the one where it's like, are you a processor, an operator, visionary, or relationship builder? And then the last thing I do is I take your values, your top 3 values in 4 quadrants. Your personal values, your relationship values, your family values, and your career or business values. Because oftentimes people just choose their values. But they're different, right? Like how you want to show up in relationship with your partner might be different than your business, different than yourself or your family. But you'll see that sometimes they do kind of cross over. But again, the more information we have, and the reason I love having 5 different things is because, maybe you just answered the assessment in the way you wanted to be perceived, right? But what I found about the combination of all of these is that there's
no lion.
There's none. And oftentimes I can look at it and say, oh, you're a manifesting generator, Kate and Rob. Do you have ADD or ADHD?
Why, yes, I do.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. How did you know?
Right? It's a thing. We're squirrely. We kind of chase our immediate yes, what feels good in the moment. So how is that helpful, right? How would this be helpful for anyone to know? Because I have to keep my eye on the prize and I have to be really committed to where I'm going because I will squirrel. And it's not a matter of if, it's when. And so again, it's acceptance. I just accept that part of myself. I know that's who I am. If someone has a hard time keeping up with me because I'm all over the place, I'll call Rob because he'll get it, And if I'm frustrating people because I'm all over the place, then that's either work I choose to do, or I just say, you know what, we're just not in alignment. We're not fit for each other. But I'm in the world of personal development and growth. And so I often like to look at that part of myself and say, okay, what bumpers can I give myself? What guardrails can I help myself push myself along to where I really, really want to be instead of going and detouring too far off? But again, it's who I am. So instead of criticizing myself, guilting myself, shaming myself, how often do we do that, right? Like, oh, here I am
Every
again.
day.
I did it again.
I'm good at one thing.
I'm the best at this.
Yeah. And I know better.
Yeah.
I know better. Hey, guess what? Just because you know better, it's just your mind. You got to integrate it. You got to practice it in your life. You're going to get activated. You're going to get triggered. That person's going to say the thing. You may know better, but how do you know your nervous system, your energetic body, and how is it going to respond in that moment? So when it does, you go, oh, here it is. Okay, I have a tool for that. I am going to fill in the blank right now because that's going to get me centered and aligned before I respond. So it's such an empowering tool. Clarity creates confidence. And when we have confidence, whether we're adults learning this in our 40s, Rob, you said this back when we first started. What would this be like for these young adults, these youth, to have this? I implemented it first with my oldest. She was playing volleyball, okay? And she said to me one day before the game started, she said, Mom, I just want to spike it and hit someone in the face. And I was like, oh. I mean, every part of the parent in me wanted to be like, be nice. That's so mean. Like, gosh, so like aggressive. I was judging her. That's the truth. I was totally judging her. Well, she took the strength finder because she was getting to a place where she was figuring out, like, what am I going to do, when I graduate from college or high school, quit playing volleyball. Her number one strength is competition.
Wow.
Number one. It's not personal. It's a game. She wants to win. She knows if she hits that person in the face, they cannot return the ball. She hits them on the shoulder, it might pop up. Somebody could still get it, but in the face, it's not going to happen. So that's what she wanted to do. So it gave me a really great perspective for her. And then when I found out her Enneagram, as a parent, when you find out what your kid's Enneagram is, it's a hard pill to swallow because, we created that. But it also helped me learn how to parent her and like language with her. Every kid's different. We talk about birth order all the time. It's like, oh, your youngest and oldest are really different. We're not the same parents, right? No one got the same parents. But again, all of this information has been really helpful for me to parent my own kids. Savannah, my oldest, is also a manifester. Manifestors are here to inform. Most of the rest of the world are here to respond. A manifestor is here to inform. Most of the world is not a manifestor. We have generator energy. We generate, we get things done. We're doers. I was giving Savannah advice. You should never give a manifestor advice. They actually aren't even looking for advice. They don't even care what you have to say. It's just about listening. When I learned to just listen to her speak, it changed everything in our relationship.
Wow.
Everything. So when we know all of this information, and especially when we're talking about a leadership program or any place where you're managing or parenting or running a team or being in a leadership position, when we start with the clarity code, this is developing humans, right? This is about self-acceptance. This is about, I know me better than anyone else. I can accept all parts of myself. I trust myself. And that leads to self-love, which I believe is what we're all trying to get to in life.
Amen. Amen. And that's the thing. That's the sauce right there. If you have self-love, then you don't have that extra. You don't go back for that extra serving. If you have self-love, you don't allow someone to treat you poorly. You're not in that relationship. You don't have a job where you are undervalued. There's so many things that we all have that we take with low self-love that we take through our life that affects pretty much everything that we do. And it's insidious how it sneaks into different areas of our life. It's something I've really been focusing on a lot since I've met you, actually. We've been having the conversations, a lot of journaling. And one thing that you're really very good at is asking questions. Like at the end, she's like, okay, I need you to journal about your favorite color. And I'm just over there writing down chrome.
It's
I love
always
chrome.
deeper than that.
Yeah. But something that is really thought provoking. And then it just kind of would melt my noodle for a week before I'd talk to her again. And sometimes I would say, we would get on the phone and she's like, do you want to talk about that? And I'm like, nope.
I'm going to need 3 more days.
Yeah. I spent a week in that and I'm done thinking about it, but I actually thought about it. I spent time in that space. And so I'm a big believer in always having a coach. You need to always have a coach, even if it's just because you want to learn how to play the ukulele. Let's have something where you're learning from someone else. And so you're really very good at that. I want to talk a little bit more about as these kids are stepping into their selves, their self-discovery. Now that you've got this information, what do you do with the information? You've got these 5 different tests. What happens next?
Hold on one second. Who are you defining as kids? Because I haven't done any of this.
You're a child.
Am I a child? Well, yes.
Yeah.
But what kind of is the target here?
Well, everyone really. I mean, Rob and I are talking about a leadership program that we're working with, and we're going to implement the Clarity Code with each of the leaders because it's not a matter of if they desire to create change or they're ready. But what we want to do is empower them from the very beginning to know how are we going to create this leadership program, who's going to be doing what. And so we're doing it really thoughtful and strategically. But in my work, I coach young adults who are transitioning from usually high school into college. Here's a big thing. They are told what time they wake up, what time they go to school, what activities they have after school, how much homework they have, what is due the next day, what they're going to eat for dinner, what time they're going to bed. And then they graduate. And we say, you're an adult now.
Go figure it out.
Do you know how stressed these kids are? I coach a lot of kids who are having so much anxiety and stress. They don't know what to do with their lives. They feel like they're asking everyone else outside of themselves for suggestions. They're making decisions based off of how much money this thing is going to pay me. But like you said, Rob, it's like they're throwing mud against the wall trying to see what sticks. What if a parent could say, I'm going to invest in this 12-week program with Kate. We're going to get really clear. I'm not going to waste a bunch of money on college classes or whatever else we're going to try to trial and error to see what we're going to do. We've got a really clear focus. Yeah, let's hit the target more closely instead of just throwing it at any target anywhere. So I really am super excited to be able to provide this and offer this as a gift to this leadership program that Rob is putting together. While I also have, clients and young adults that I'm coaching. And then after that, my other clientele, probably 60 to 70% is adults like us who are feeling like a relationship is failing. And it's like, I keep ending up with the same type of person. I thought getting divorced was the solution. Turns out I'm the problem. But the good news is you're the solution too. Or maybe it's someone who has everything. A lot of my clients, when you look at them, they've got it. You look at the career, the home, all the things. You're looking at them like, that's my goal. But they're empty inside. There's something missing. They don't know what it is. It's what you talked about at the beginning, Rob, the lack of fulfillment and satisfaction. And why? Because they're not hitting the target. They're doing all the things. They've done the hard work. They've gotten success, but it's empty. It's just like not quite scratching the itch. So that's another really good client. Or just
that's
someone,
who I was.
Yeah.
When I showed up, I'll just be wildly honest. Like I didn't know that I had to, I didn't know what my values were in my relationship and in my business and in all these different areas. And gaining clarity is so liberating because you just think you're in, we all think that we're uniquely broken. I'm alone in this space. I feel like I'm the only one that ever feels this kind of a way. And when you take these tests and you get some clarity about who you are, all of a sudden you're like, well, I feel that way because I'm not going to ever be happy doing that. Or I'm never going to feel good about creating, I should never be an accountant. I'm not ever going to be a good scientist. And here I am being a scientist because my dad was a scientist and his dad was a scientist. I should not be in that space. I should be doing these other things. And so it just gave me a lot of permission to give myself a freaking break. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think everyone is should have this clarity.
How young can you go? So if you're focusing on the young kid, or because I would imagine if you gave this to a 9-year-old, we're not going to get any.
It's going to change
data.
significantly, right? I think 16 is a really great place to start. There are some 15-year-olds, right, that can dive into this, but I think 16, 17 is a really, really great place. They actually came out with a teen version of the Clifton Strength Assessment.
No kidding.
Yeah, they did. So that's kind of the sweet spot there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you see changes in that? Like I've taken the DISC test through my life when I first got into my business and then even still, and now I even know what it's trying to do. And so I'm like, okay, I'll answer it this way. And I'm still the same knucklehead that I am. Like the test does not give me a break. In fact, I might be worse.
Well, that's slide into what your old habits are. I imagine.
Well, and that's the thing, right? The programming, right, usually happens between the ages of 0 and 9, and then some things maybe shift. I can remember once when I was in a startup, a tech company, and I had taken on the role that was available and what they needed help with. And it's interesting because when I answered my Clifton Strength Assessment, I retook it during that time, and it sounded more like the position and the job that I was in. But what I did was I answered the questions based off the current role that I was in. And this
how you should have felt.
This is truly why I've added so many different assessments in this one, because you could maybe get a snapshot of what's there. And again, it didn't change significantly. Like one, it was the difference between harmony and an activator. Okay, 2 strengths. My activator went way up because that was the role that I was playing, right? Is to activate and get things going in this startup. And then my harmony went down a little bit. But the truth of who I am is really that I do really bring harmony into spaces. I know that about myself, and it's my natural easy button. Whereas the activator, I could do it and I was doing it well. And it was probably only at like my 7, but it moved up to like 4. So again, this is why seeing the full results is helpful. But ultimately they don't really change over time. In fact, this is kind of a funny story. I am an Enneagram 7. And an Enneagram 7 is the enthusiast. So I'm going to get on board with what you're doing. Rob and I went to lunch a week ago and here we are, right? I'm like, yep, the answer is yes. It feels good in my body. I'm saying yes. But the downside of the 7 is we don't like to feel pain and we don't like to feel uncomfortable. So we avoid that, which is a good thing to know, because in all vulnerability, I have to be really careful. 7s have to be really careful with any kind of addiction. Overdoing something. So like I'm going to overwork out so I can escape this, or I'm going to go on a walk for an hour, or I'm going to eat this thing, or maybe I want to have a drink, or whatever it is, right? We like to numb. We don't love to feel uncomfortable. We just remember I'm also a harmony. So it's cool again to see all this stuff because it makes sense. But it's helpful for me to know that, right? Because now when I decide if I'm going to drink a glass of wine, am I drinking it to check out of something or to change the way I feel? Or am I doing it because I'm cooking dinner and while the Italian music is on and I'm making the thing, I want to have a glass of wine, So again, it's information and it's good to know. But the point of this story is, and I'll get to the end, is that I retook the Enneagram about a couple of weeks ago because it had been like 12 years, And I was like, I'm going to take it again. And of course, I'm still a 7. And, but it's funny, because I think we do feel like we've evolved, we've grown, we've learned. But what I would say is, again, the blueprint and who we are, who we be is the same. I have more tools and I can navigate through that. So I feel less of my shadow of my 7 or the sabotaging behaviors of my 7, but they still exist. And you said earlier, right? It's like, do we default? Do we go back to the old patterns and behaviors, especially when life gets hard or it gets stressful? Sometimes we do.
But if we're doing it, I would like to say we're doing it with more awareness. There's nothing wrong with having a habit or a way that your default. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have them, and that's being a human creature. However, when I have awareness around it and I'm like, I'm feeling that resentment, I'm thinking to myself, now what have I committed to that I really wasn't wanting to commit to? Maybe I owe Kate an apology because I haven't showed up the way she expected me to, and I wanted to. I really genuinely do, but I don't give a fuck. I just don't. Your project is great, but it's just not for me. And so I should. And the other thing too is it gives you the ability to say thank you. Thank you for thinking of me, but gosh, I'm just not your guy. So I love that.
Yeah, the permission to say no is a big one with this as well. And saying it in a confident way. You know, it's like one of the things I had to work on was my automatic was just yes. And now I'll say, that sounds so amazing. The enthusiast, right? That sounds so fun. And I really want to do that right now, but let me check my calendar. I'll get back with you.
And then you sit on it for a sec?
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, let me actually look at this. Is that going to make sense with the timing of this? Like, where am I going to be
what
in
else
my
do I have
day?
going on?
Yeah. And like priorities, right? This is why we go back to values. And if my kids are one of my top values, my family, and this is like something that's going to take me away from maybe, a football game or whatever it is that my kid has. This is why I love the values, because the values we use for decision making.
Creates alignment.
When there's two great choices, I can go do this thing for Rob's nonprofit, which is amazing. Or I could go be at my daughter's thing. How do I make that decision? Well, this is where I tell you, let's pull out your values.
Yeah.
Look at your values. What matters to you most is already written down. You know how great that is to have a tool for decision making, so you don't spend days trying to figure out and feel guilty about it. It's just like, nope, here's the clarity. This is what I'm choosing. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to pass this time, but please keep inviting me.
Yeah, perfect. I have the values from our coaching on the wall still. So I'll be on a phone call talking to someone and they're pitching me and I'm excited about it. Wow, that sounds really pretty cool. And I will look at that. I'm not kidding how many times where I'm like, ooh, I'm not in alignment. I'm not in alignment because I really do I want you to like me. I'm down. I'm down to work hard on making that happen. But when I overcommit, it's almost like I'm guaranteeing that relationship's not going to be good.
Huh.
It's powerful. It's powerful stuff. And so I have mine right on the wall, right in front of me, because it is that important. The other thing I wanted to say about that is alignment is so valuable. It's not just the fact that I'm not doing what I'm good at. It's that I'm out of alignment with who I am as a person. If I make a commitment, if I'm behaving like a victim, I am not a victim. I'm not. I'm a warrior creator. I'm here to do things, to make things happen, to change the world. When I fall into the victim mindset and I'm out of alignment because I haven't been following my values, then I can. It's easy for me to go back and be like, okay, clearly I have stepped out of my strength of who I really am. And now I can step back into it. I can do it more quickly. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It just doesn't last as long. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
100%. I always say expect it. Expect it. That's life. That's the lesson. It's the opportunity. In fact, I heard this recently and I loved it. It was a quote online. It said, what if the universe isn't testing you? It's just giving you an opportunity to practice the thing that you know.
Oh,
mic drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not awesome. A test, right? It's just a practice. And I love that you said that, Rob. It's like we expect it. You know it's going to come. And even in the clarity code, there are specific words that Rob knows. His not self is frustration and resentment. So if he starts to feel resentful or frustrated, that is nothing to do about the other person. It's a Rob problem. And Rob can say, that's me, not them.
God.
This kid's no be a minute. He knows this.
All right.
But he knows that, right? And it's not anything that anyone else could say to him. They would never get it across. But because he has this information and he knows this about himself, eventually he'll get to the place where he's like,
damn it. Here I am again.
It's the third day phone call. I've seen this in practice multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man. And when you first start coming into this awareness, Toph, it is annoying. It's annoying because all of a sudden you're like, there it is again. And Kate's really very good at being like, expect it. Like it's going to happen. Be prepared. Like, don't be surprised, but you're still just every time you're just like surprised. Like how did I get here again? And so over and over again, as you're waking up into this awareness of who you really are, there's just going to be moment after moment where you're like, well, it's because I'm not in alignment. And then all of a sudden you start to become your own coach.
Yes.
Which is also
ding, ding, ding.
Extra annoying.
Ding, ding, ding. And this is it. I tell people this every day, all day. I'm not the guru. You're not coming to me for answers all the time. I'm going to empower you. I'm going to give you the tools for all of it, the clarity, the tools. And then I'm going to say, ask yourself, because that is true empowerment, right? You know yourself better than anyone else knows you. And if we're always seeking something outside of us, I got to go call my guru. I got to go call I got to get my Reiki master to teach me how to do or guide me through an experience. I did all of that. I think we all do all of that. That's how we learn. But eventually you want to get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to do box breathing right now because I know that that's going to calm me down before I walk into that room. That's one of my tools, right?
Or the snap. That's the one I use all the time.
Yeah. It's a method that I came up with based off of Byron Katie's method and then the Enneagram. But it's an acronym SNAP, snap, like snap or snap out of it. And if you're in a behavior, if you're in a thought pattern, if you're feeling a certain way that you're like, I just need to snap out of this, the S is stop. And then you just notice, how am I feeling? How am I feeling? Where in my body am I feeling it if you want to get into a somatic practice? And then you ask yourself, well, what was I just thinking? Well, your emotions are going to be connected to your thoughts. So then if you don't want to keep feeling that way, there's different ways we can go into this deep, deep, deep. But then ultimately you just pivot and you tell yourself a better feeling thought. Or so what am I going to do about it? Right. And I custom designed this SNAP process for the client because there are different ways you can use this depending on how you're using it. But it always comes back to stop, notice, ask, and then pivot.
And then if there's nothing you can do about it, then give it up. Like that was the big one for me.
Wait, I just have to ask this. This isn't, is that this same practice?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right. Sorry.
No, but the P was the big one for me because I would spend a lot of time ruminating on the pivot and not, but there's nothing I could do about it. I can't change how you feel about me. So the pivot is to quit worrying about it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's not really a lot that needs to be done because there's nothing that can be done. Right. But if you're continually burning up your bandwidth thinking about this, then it's still a problem.
Yeah.
It's still just as real.
Walk us through your SNAP process. The most common one, like you stop and then what do you notice typically?
Oh man. So here's the funny story. And we'll get right back to this. But so Kate was doing a coaching and I was on this call. It was a call we were doing every week and we would go through the, how are you feeling physically? How are you feeling spiritually? How are you feeling emotionally? And I'm just like, and you have to give yourself a 1 to 10 on like where you're at and your feeling. And so I'm like writing these numbers down because I'm really like, now that I'm becoming conscious of how I feel, I'm doing these stops and check-ins. I'm feeling all kinds of things I've never felt before because I'm really good at not feeling.
What is this identifying these thoughts here?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going all the time. Oh, look, I cut myself. Like I have no idea how I feel about anything. And so here I am spending time thinking about this, rabbit holing on feeling these things. And I was writing these numbers and I would go down and she would be like, okay, what's your numbers? And I'd be like, I'm like at a 10 at all these. And she's like, wow, that's great. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't want to feel these things. This is crazy.
This is too many emotions.
I don't want to feel. And so it was some hard work at the beginning. And then all the other people on the call were like 3 and 2 and 5. And I'm like 12. It only goes to 10. I was just over feeling all of these things. Feeling your feelings is hard.
Yeah. Well, and when you turn it on, right, and it's been off for so long, it's like a fire hose and a floodgate. And so it takes a while, right? Like there's a pendulum. If you're starting at 0, not feeling anything, and then you turn it on, it's like, whoa, this feels like a lot. And I think that's what it felt like for Rob, like a fire hose of emotions coming. And so
just raised in a house, it was like, calm down.
Yeah.
Or
Do not do that.
quit
Why
crying.
Are you talking?
Why are you crying? Why are you so excited?
Why are you even talking?
Yeah.
Just
So
stop.
I really suppressed the feeling. And then all of a sudden I'm paying attention to my feelings, and I feel a lot of it in my, like up in my chest into my throat. Like I'm just feeling like I'm going to just tell you how I feel. It's just going to roll out, and it's not probably going to be good. And, so that's where I feel it. I'd stop and feel that feeling. And then I would think, now, why am I feeling this way? A lot of times it was because I was out of alignment, or I was doing something that I didn't want to be doing. I was in a place with people I didn't want to be with. And I know that that's what being an adult is spending time. That's jobs. They pay you to do something that you wouldn't show up otherwise for. You know what I mean? Like that's how this works. But to the point where I just felt so much like this staticky energy in my heart. And then when I'd feel that, then okay, what was the pivot? And the pivot would often just be like, I just need to get up and move around, or I need to get away from these people, or I need to do something about it. And it just put me into a place of empowerment where before I would just kind of like stay in that toxic space. I would stay in that toxic feeling, and it would just ruin my whole day. I would be mad all day, where this gives me an opportunity just to kind of surrender and be like, oh, well, I probably need to eat. That's why I feel this way. Like I'm feeling very stabby.
Let's get some beef sticks into the big fella. You know?
Yeah, I need a burrito right now, and that solves everything. And so it was just an interesting, it's actually not an exaggeration. Like if I don't eat, I become a crazy person, and I won't eat because I don't feel hungry. I'm not feeling anything. I'm just going. And that's not a good way to live it either, you know? And so it's an interesting thing doing these processes. And then also becoming aware of where it's coming from, knowing that in my personality type, I'm an expressive. I use my hands a lot to talk. And I love to communicate, be heard, and to hear. Like that's my favorite thing. And so if I'm talking to someone who isn't in that space, Scotty's a great example. I'm going to drive him nuts because I'm like, tell me more, help me understand. I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just like, because that's how it is.
Yeah. 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
When we're done here.
Yeah. Is there anything else to talk about?
Yeah.
So getting back to the personality typing, I was very grateful to finally come across someone that was helping me with evidence-based counseling rather than just making things up. And I read a book once and it talked about this, and it's a great idea. Let's talk about it. I don't want to talk about any books you've read. I'm not interested in it. What I'm interested in is giving me some practical hacks like Snap that I can use to improve my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also, like I just tested you. I've just tested everybody in my company. Annie and I did the Enneagram together, my wife, and the Strengths Finder. And so when she says something, I'm like, oh, I know where this is coming from. And so it's giving me an ability, because being married is like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because there's just so many variables in raising a family and having a household and doing all of the things. If I can understand her better, where she's coming from and why she's saying that, rather than being like, why are you being like that? Like that's annoying. That doesn't help my relationship, where I can kind of have a little bit of grace with her and be like, oh, that's because she needs to get this kind of rest or she needs this kind of attention in order to feel connected. She needs that from me. If I'm not doing that, she doesn't feel safe. And then when she doesn't feel safe, she's not going to reciprocate my affection. And then here we go, off we go. Right. And so it just has given me it's like cheating a little bit.
It is a cheat code.
Yeah.
I agree. It's what you're doing is you actually become the expert on you, the expert. You figure out how your mind works, how your emotions work, like how you see everything, your energy, like you really just become this expert on you. And then what I love that you brought up, Rob, is I love using it in couples coaching, because what happens is then you understand your partner and you quit taking things so personally, because it feels so personal. And you're like, she's just in her, like, that's her younger child version showing up because she got activated. And like, I'm just going to not make this about me, and I'm just going to be right here. And it's like, okay, babe, what do you need?
Yeah.
Instead of like, well, that's not what I said, or that's not what I meant.
Why are you being such a bitch?
You're being so sensitive right now.
That sentence never actually goes well.
Right?
Yeah, that's a terrible
you're
question.
So insecure.
You need to calm down.
Oh, please
also doesn't
never
go well.
say that.
Don't use
that's
that one.
the one that for me, I'm like, don't you tell me to calm down. I'll show you 10 times.
You think
I'll
I'm calm?
10X this. Get ready. The fire's coming out. Yeah, exactly.
I love it. That's wonderful. And so I think that understanding yourself, the sooner you can do it, the better. There's no The first thing that I was turned on to was the DISC test way back when I first got into my business. And when I understood the DISC test, I learned that there's some words that I could use that really upset certain personality types. I could say these words and it freaks them right out. Or there's words I could use that actually helps them feel calm and comfortable and to connect with me. And I'm in a business of creating trust. It's important that you trust me, that we're partners in the process. If we're not partners, then we're adversaries, and this is a terrible transaction for everybody. And so as I learned how to build this trust and create these things, it became kind of a superpower. Now, when I walk in and I'm talking to someone, I can diagnose them right away on this specific modality, the DISC. I'm really very good at it. And so then I can be like, okay, I need to be careful, not too pushy here. I need to be calm. I need to present more facts, more details, because that's what this person needs in order to feel safe. Or I can get right to the point because this person doesn't need facts and details. So let's just get right to the fact, like right down to the making a decision. And being able to do that it's been a superpower for me. I really do love it. But the biggest part of the superpower, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking here, Kate, I'm sorry but this is so fascinating to me, is that self-awareness. And you wrote in your packet that you brought with you, you wrote something about self-awareness, about this consciousness and the things that it equals. And I really wanted to talk a little bit about that. I think it's on the back of this page. How leadership, why this matters in leadership and why it matters in a couple of areas. And can we talk about that? Because I thought it was very important.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so important in leadership because leadership isn't about a title, right? How many leaders do we have that have a title? And it's like, well, you were a great salesman, so now we're going to make you the manager.
Yeah.
Well, because you can sell doesn't mean you can manage a team, right?
It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. So I think a lot of people have a desire to be a leader, but number one, let's find out, are you a good leader, right? Is that like where your superpower is? We got to have some people that are also going to be on the team and follow, right? So understanding that. But there's this bigger piece to it. And I believe it's about emotional regulation and being able to have stability, right? That's a big thing in leadership. And clarity and this confidence as a leader to say, okay, here's the foundation and the framework for what we've created and what we've built. And we're going to keep coming back to this over and over and over again. And we're going to use everything that we know as information to create this infrastructure, this foundation for what we're creating. So that then it's just, mostly a smooth ride. The leadership specifically, again, right? I think a lot of people are put into leadership positions because they're graduating to the next pay level.
I like to say gravitating.
Gravitating.
Because they've been there longer.
Okay, I love this.
And they know the warehouse better than anyone else. They're clearly the leader.
It's true.
Or whatever the product, right?
So this is about not only leadership, but it's about building character. Right? And letting people really understand who they are. Who am I? I believe that when we understand who we are, we all become leaders. Right? We all become a leader, maybe for different reasons in different areas in different ways, but we all become a leader in the things that we're really good at or the things that we know well. So then we can speak when it's appropriate and to what we know well. And then as the recipient of that, we really listen and pay attention because it's like, wait a second. Let's pay attention and listen here because this is coming from a place of knowledge, not just well, I need to have a voice at the table or this is what leaders do. We talk a lot or we, get up in front of everyone and stand ahead. I like to see the leadership as a circle instead of a hierarchy. So if everyone can sit at the table like we are right now, we all have a seat, we're all looking at each other, we're all contributing something equally but different. The value of what you bring and the value of what you bring and the value of what I bring, they're all valuable, but they show up differently at different times and different things, right? And again, when we know this, we can build the structure, we can build the foundation that is going to be scalable.
Okay.
We want that, right? If we're doing leadership programs, if we're creating this, we're not just doing it because it sounds like a fun thing to do to help some kids out. Let's build something that lasts. Let's have a foundation for this that we can look at someone and go, this is duplicable. we got a processor that's going to set it up for us, That's what we're doing tomorrow, right?
That's right.
So this is how this works, and we understand it and we know it. And that is where we build character, we build humans, we're investing in people, and how we go about what we do with that can look differently. Rob, you said to me the other day, you were talking about Thanksgiving heroes, and you said, I've realized that it's not just about feeding families, right?
This was one of my self-discovery. Wow, that's true. I did say that. Big self-discovery for me in this process. It's actually that I have very little to do with feeding families.
I haven't heard this. Expand.
Well, I realized that my the most important thing that I'm doing outside my family, Thanksgiving's Heroes, is causing me a lot of grief. In fact, it's very difficult for me to do sometimes. It's hard for me to sustain the energy to continue to do it. And what occurred to me is that I realized that I am focusing on the wrong thing. I'm focusing on uncontrollable, which is feeding the families, the actual experience of delivering the food to their door, knocking on the door, connecting with them. And what I realized is that I need to pull back and focus on the one thing that I'm really very good at, which is connecting and creating the space for families to come through. I'm a facilitator of service. I'm not the deliverer of the food. And so if you can come through the line and you can have a wonderful experience and I can pour into you and raise your frequency, then that's what you're taking into the community. And when I shifted my belief about what I'm good at and what I was made to do, then Thanksgiving Heroes became really pretty effortless.
So it's not about the feeding of the families. It's about the line of cars waiting to deliver it.
That's my space.
For him.
For me.
For Rob.
That's what I need to focus on. And if I can focus on that and I can create that, that experience, well, then those cars are going to come back again.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Those people in those cars will donate. Only 4% of the people that come through the line donate. And if I had 100% of those 900 cars, each of those cars donated $100,
we wouldn't have a fundraising problem.
I wouldn't have a fundraising problem. And so shifting my gears into my focus, because I know my core strengths, and my core strengths are, I'm really good at connecting. I'm really good at creating that space. And I get emotional about it because I was prepared to give up on Thanksgiving's Heroes, one of the most important things I've ever done, because it was just unsustainable. I cannot continue pouring into this uncontrollable. Anyway, and I hope that makes sense to the listeners, because I love Thanksgiving's Heroes so very much that this kind of training has changed my perspective in it, and it's created a significant amount of joy in it. Mm-hmm. So if you have a job and you're not feeling that, you're feeling out of alignment, well, the question is what are you focused on? Where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your energy? And if you don't know yourself because you're not having a coach like Kate, well, then you're never going to know. You're going to continue to feel like you're hitting your head against the wall. You're not going to hit that spike. And when I say spike, the growth that Thanksgiving's Heroes is having, last year was our very best year. Mm-hmm. Even though I broke my leg, even though I was going through these things, I called Kate on the, I don't know if you remember Kate.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So right before the big day, I just felt a tremendous amount of pressure, and I called Kate and we reflected on the things that were important. And having a coach like Kate, she kind of just asked the questions. I don't know if you know me very well, but I can't be told anything.
What? Shocking.
I cannot.
Audience, that is wonderful news.
I am 100% uncoachable, just in case you guys were wondering. But Kate's really very good at asking questions that make me think, how do I feel about that? And how do I process that? And I had this I was at a point of kind of breaking down, because I was at the warehouse and I'm doing all of these things. And she brought me back into, okay, what is it you're doing? Why are you doing it? Why are you spending your time there? And so as we're talking about these coaching, this opportunity for clarity, that's what you gave me that night. Was a tremendous amount of clarity where I was like, oh, I've got this. This is, in fact, I love this. Instead of being like, oh my God, this is going to kill me. I'm going to have a heart attack if I worry about all of these unmanageables. And so this clarity is so very important. When we were talking about that and we were talking about offering it to these youth, I just thought, man, I wished I would have had something like this, because I've spent my whole life trying, stressing, struggling, where if I could have really focused on what I'm good at, how much further along would I be if I could find an implementer in this space rather than try to, all my business partners in the past have been just like me. I don't need more of me. I got plenty of me. I don't need more visionary. I don't need more, let's go boys. I need someone that's going to be like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make this happen? And so there's so much tremendous value in what you're offering, Kate. And I've seen it in my life over and over again. So when you were talking about that, I'm like, oh my God, this is so exciting. And so as we talk about leadership, I'm sorry, I totally went off on the Thanksgiving's Heroes, but it's the clarity that has really changed my life about this huge thing that I'm doing. And in so doing, I just so that you know, like we brought on Huntington Beach this last week, we brought on Canton, Ohio. Like we're really growing because I've given up on the things that I cannot control. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
It does. And to point out here, right? Rob's still to the outside world, to everyone else. Rob's still doing what he's always done. But the shift happened within Rob. This is my favorite thing to experience. It's when it all comes together and it's just the minor little shift. It's the slightest tweak, right? And what it does is it gives this discernment, right? It's like, I know where I have the most value, and that's where I'm going to spend my time. And a lot of times we're spread too thin. That's the truth. We've said yes too much. We're spread too thin, even if we are in leadership. And you're doing all this good, but it's like, I'm not feeling it. Like I just am not, like the satisfaction, the fulfillment's not there. And what I'm passionate about is let's get you lit up. You know, it was a couple of years ago and it was at the end of the whole experience with Thanksgiving Heroes. I said, how are you going to celebrate, Rob? What are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just moving on to next year now. And I said, whoa. You've spent a whole year putting this together and you're not going to sit and receive and feel and look at what you created. This is incredible. And what parts about it did you like and did you enjoy? And what parts of it are you like, well, I do it because nobody else does, and we just get so dialed on that. And then you have a moment like this year, Rob, where you get to double or close to doubling what you did the year before, expansion and doing all these things. So this is why it matters in leadership, because if we want to make massive impact, if we want to be able to cast the net wider, I don't know if you've read the book 10X is easier than 2X. Well, let's 10X it. All we have to do is create the infrastructure to do that and the clarity to do that. And then we can generate this and put this out there in a really effective way. We're working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
We're helping more people.
Yeah.
It
gives you also the superpower to find the who.
Sure.
Instead of the how. The how's not important. The who is important. And you've helped me be able to surrender my who. I just need to find that right person. And the thing that's interesting is that when I find out who I am, I'm discovering who I am, the who's start to show up because I can start leaning into my true power. And in my true power, I will attract into my life the who's. And those who's then are helping me create the Youth Leadership Council and the expansion into other states and all these other things that are outside my scope. I am not made for those things. I'm made for this thing, but it's crazy that the who's will show up when you start to step into your own who-ness.
It's exactly when you're not spread so thin, you really get into this depth, right? It's quality over quantity, doing less, but doing what you do really, really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's what you've anchored in. So
yeah,
there we are.
Yeah, it's crazy awesome. The other part is then trusting, because I'm going to find who's that might not have the vision, the purest intention, or maybe they're dishonest. I've bumped into a few who's that have misused me and the nonprofit in ways to benefit them that I wished I would have. But the fact of the matter is, for the most part, as I step into my who-ness, it seems to me that the other people I'll self-eliminate pretty quickly. Does that make sense? Because there takes a lot of trust in stepping out of that. I'm going to give that to you. I'm giving all of these things to you because you love those things. You're good at that. I'm going to keep on doing my thing. You do your thing, and we'll meet. We'll bring it back and make a great thing. But for the most part, the people that are showing up when I'm really very incredibly intentional are the right people. The universe is really conspiring for my best interest.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Huh.
Good stuff, right?
There's so many. So like circling back a little bit, because this is one of the men things, right, that we do.
Yeah.
So before you were on to the next year in what, September?
Oh yeah. So the big day happens at Thanksgiving, and I'm thinking about the next year, that next week. I haven't spent any time in the
There's no celebrating.
I haven't even had my own turkey yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it usually culminated, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was this year, maybe last year, is the first time you haven't had a pneumonia,
Yes.
down for a month, right?
Yeah. See, this guy, he's been around me. Yeah. Most of the time it's such a dis-ease that I get a disease. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like I'm putting so much stress on myself because I'm worried about spending time doing all these things that I get pneumonia. I lose my voice.
And you did a podcast the next day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. So you're seeing me surrendering to the who I am. And the biggest part of this is the culmination of it all. After I broke my leg and had all of these things happen, was the realization of what God has made me to do.
Mm.
And that is the sauce.
Mm.
If I can stay in that space, Kate, if I can stay in the space of what I know God made me for, I know she put me here for this very reason, then all of the other things, all of the distractions, all of the other things, they lose their power. Because it's no longer a decision to say, well, no, thank you. I appreciate you thinking of me. It's an easy no. And I can do it with grace because that's not what God made me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this really hits, but when you realize why God put you on the planet, your life becomes very good.
Mm.
Gosh, damn. That is sorry, Kate. We're gonna go down a road over here. No, because I feel like that's what's missing in my life right now.
Mm.
I feel rudderless. What are we doing? What's going on? And then then everything's my fault. And the self-loathing and failure stuff it's
easy. It's your default.
Unbearable.
It's unbearable.
Mm.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing is that as I step into coaching with Kate and as I step into this awareness, there's an investment that needs to be made. There's a sacrifice that needs to be made. And the sacrifice, and Kate, you actually told me this, is I said, Kate, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And you said, congratulations, a new mind is necessary.
Mm.
And so as you're stepping into this, Topher, and you're having these realizations and you're wondering about this, you're starting to lose your mind. And that is so valuable. It's part of the journey that you're on to discover why you were made. And you have to step into this fearlessly. That's the part that is hard to explain to people, is like, this is going to scare the shit out of you because you have been operating on a model that has gotten you here. Congratulations, but it's not going to take you any further.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah.
And if you continue to hang on to your broken model, you will only get the same results that you've gotten. And that is no longer acceptable. And so congratulations, you're on the doorstep of some incredible self-discovery. Mm-hmm. And it's necessary. You have to have the breakdown before the breakthrough. Mm-hmm. And that's where you're standing right now. And that is a wonderful, terrible, awesome, disgusting experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I hit that point, and that's, I think, when I asked you to be my shaman, my coach, and I
Mm-hmm.
spent a lot of time in that self-discovery. In that, the hard part about that is you get to a point where you start to doubt. You just start doubting everything.
Mm-hmm.
You doubt.
I feel like a worthless piece of shit.
Yeah.
99% of the day. There is a brief moment when I walk in the door at home that it's not.
That little Nora's looking up at you.
Mm-hmm.
And some days, right at the moment, we're like 50-50 when I walk in the door. Neither here nor there, but
yeah, little girls are a tricky thing.
but
I've got 4 of them, and sometimes I absolutely love them, and sometimes I just want to put them in the octagon.
Sometimes it's Dad is home,
yeah,
or don't look at me. Just don't breathe over there. I don't know what you're doing, but no, I'm struggling like hell on this stuff.
What Kate was just saying is the value isn't in understanding all of this stuff. It's in this self-regulation. It's in the regulation that you can create when you start to understand these different.
Well, it's not, you're not changing, you're navigating.
Yeah.
You've got,
you're aware.
You're basically putting a captain on the boat of this is how we get through this stuff. It's not that you're not, there's no changing Rob at this point. Rob is who Rob is.
Yeah.
Full acceptance.
Right?
You are who you are.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so then how can I love that kid more? How can I accept his behaviors more rather than be hard on him all the time? Because he's got enough hard on him all the time.
Yeah.
He's, in fact, hard on him all the time has gotten him here. Thank God.
Hard on him is literally broken the mechanism.
Yeah, it has broken the mechanism. And so hard on me is no longer serving me, Topher. And I think that every man, I've never had the female experience. I've never traveled that road, Kate. So I'm just speaking to the men. Every man gets to a point where they have to look at themselves and they have to say, is this all I get? Is this it? Or is this it? Like there's a shift that has to happen. You have to decide. And I see a lot of men settling into mediocrity. I see a lot of men settling into accepting their circumstances rather than becoming the warrior God. That you are. And it's not even becoming something, it's remembering something. You are a creator. And if you're sick of what you've got, then it's time for you to do something about it rather than just sit back and be like, well, this is what it looks like. This is where I'm at. You are out of alignment with who you are, Topher, because if you feel that way, then you are not being true to who you really are. Being a warrior God, a son of God.
I'm the guy that walked up to the fucking Met Stadium and said, here I am, you better fucking hire me.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten.
You forget.
I don't even know who that person is anymore.
You get worn down on being disappointed and let down, and you're not keeping your word to yourself anymore. And then you're disappointing yourself, and then you're disappointing everybody else. And then pretty soon, you just have this continual. Of course, that's how it worked out. Why wouldn't it work out any other way? I'm a fuck up. Of course. The fact of the matter is that you have to be reminded. And these are my core strengths. These are my core values. This is who I am. And I am unwilling to accept this behavior from others and from myself anymore. When you step into that space as a warrior, then all of a sudden it all changes. The playing field, there's clarity. The clarity code, it's such a perfect name for it, Kate, because when you have that clarity and you step into this is what God made me for, all of a sudden you become undeniable.
See, and I'm at the point of like, I don't know anything. I'm at the breaking point of God. I'm out of answers. I don't know what to do.
My favorite philosopher, Socrates, said that you do not have true wisdom is in the confession of knowing nothing. So what you have just said is the beginning of some true wisdom. When you say things like, oh, I know, the most dangerous fucking words you can say. Oh, I know it already. But when you are a curious investigator, and I'm discovering things about myself all the time, even still as I'm becoming in this clarity, I'm just a curious investigator, and I'll get to a moment where I'm feeling a kind of way, and then rather than becoming like hard on myself, I just become curious. Why do I feel that way? How did I get to this point? And if I could have that kind of clarity, Topher, well, then all of a sudden, I don't need to call Kate and be like, man, I'm feeling stabby today. I'm going to.
Well, you becoming your own coach.
You become your own coach, and you get to, you become empowered to journal. When I spend time journaling in the gratitude, that is the smallest piece of the journaling. It's in this like discovering of the question, what am I unwilling to accept in my life anymore? What must I have in order to feel happy? What must I do today in order to feel fulfillment or successful or loved? If I know the answers to those questions, well, then I can go out and get them. I can ask for it. If you don't know what you need in order to feel that way, you can't even ask for it.
I don't even know what to ask for.
You don't even know what to ask for. But if I could go to Annie and be like, hey, babe, I know that you love me. I know that you love me, but I need to hear from you today. You can do it. I believe in you. That's what I need from you because I know that about me. And so asking, she can give me that back. Because I have to tell you the truth. I think Annie wants to love me the way that I need to be loved. She loves me. But if she doesn't know how to give me the words, she doesn't know how to give me what I need because I don't even know how to ask for it, she's at a huge disadvantage. Mm-hmm. And if I don't have the personal self-love to go to her and be like, babe, I just need you to hold me. I just need a hug right now. Can we just sit on the couch? I just need you to hold me like I'm a fucking 5-year-old. Give it to me. And that's all I need. If I can ask for that and she can give it to me because she wants to. Mm. Just like I want to give to her what it is she needs in order to feel safe and loved. If I could give that to her, well, then we all of a sudden become a whole unit.
And then the volleyball match takes off.
Yeah, stand back.
Right.
Yeah.
And people have said to us, like, gosh, when I grow up, I wish I had a relationship like you and Annie. Well, the fact of the matter is we're working on it all the time. But because we have these core strengths and she knows this about me and I know this about her, man, we're so much further ahead in the process because I was doing what I thought was necessary in order for her to feel loved. Totally wrong. That's what I needed. I was doing what I thought she needed. Totally wrong. But what's more important is I know what I need. You have lost your way or forgotten who you are, who the divine, the core, the diamond in the rough, you've forgotten who that is. And because of that, you're making allowances, you're making exceptions that put you out of alignment. You're making agreements. You're doing things that don't fulfill you, that don't make you happy. And because you continue to do that, you will continue to feel worse and worse and worse about yourself. As a number 2, I will sacrifice myself again and again and again to the point where I don't even know who I am anymore. And then I'm like, what am I doing here? I'll have like a moment of explosion. Like, what am I even in this sales meeting for? I'm out. You've witnessed that.
Yeah.
You've personally witnessed me be like coming awake again, being like,
why are we here?
What am I doing with these fools? The fact of the matter is when I made that discovery again, and that's the weird thing about it is because I am who I am, I've been habitually this person for 50 years, I have to continually wake up again and again and again and realize, oh, these are my core values. Oh, these are my core values. Oh, God, these are my core values. No wonder I'm out of alignment. No wonder you're out of alignment. But if you could see Topher the way I see Topher, this would not be a conversation.
Right. Mm. And even Rob seeing you that way wouldn't be enough. It's you having to know you. This is who I am. The thing I love the most about the Clarity Code is people feel seen for the first time. It's like, oh my gosh, you're telling me things that I knew, but I never had it validated. I never really knew that was a superpower. I didn't know that was a strength. It's like all these light bulbs start going off. You're not going to be blown away. You're not going to be like, wait, huh? That doesn't sound like me. You're going to go, duh, okay, yep. Then you've got it all and you go, okay, so here's my blueprint. This is everything I need. Now what I have to do is integrate it in my life. Knowledge is power, but integration is transformation. So that's, as an empowerment integration coach, I give you this information, but then I coach you through your life so that you can say, okay, this came up. It's real time, right? There's no one size fits all. This isn't a generic thing that everyone gets. It's like, no, it's for you. And then based off your life circumstances, how are we going to navigate this? And it's very specific. So you're not thinking like, oh, I got this thing, but I don't know what to do with it. You're like, oh, I know what to do with it. Okay, Kate, I'm going to do the thing. And then you get to practice it and you're going to fail. And that's okay too, because you expect it. You know, it's when you learn about yourself and you learn about how you work, then you can learn how to use it. It's like you are the tool.
Mm. And the remembering is your superpower. Kate's job then as my coach was to remind me again and again and again, oh yeah, that's okay. It's okay. You remember, because this is how you are. This is how you think. This is your
programming.
Your programming. This is your makeup.
Design.
And you just keep having these. I kept having these moments of like, damn, like here we are again. And it's just this. It's this weird. It's like this weird remembering of my divine nature over and over and over and over and over until I can't hear it anymore. Like I become so self-aware that I was also, when that happened, I also became paralyzed in the wholeness of like this waking up. And then Kate's really good at pulling you back and be like, well, let's just focus on these little bits. Let's just work on this one little thing this week. Let's just do that. And in so doing, you start to then create the behaviors that you need in order to be whole.
You brought up a good point. And I want to say this to everyone listening and also here. It's not about, if you're at the bottom of the staircase, right? And here's the top and you're like, well, that's where I want to get to. This is why New Year's goals don't work for most people. This is why by March right now, most of you have not kept those New Year's goals. It's because you made the goal based off the top of the staircase. I'm into micro shifts in behavior, tiny little movements. What's one thing, just one thing you can do today that will get you one step closer? Just one thing. This does two things. It creates a win in your brain, which is really satisfying. It's all those feelings and things that we want, which is why we go for dopamine hits and all these different things.
Did it, yes.
You create it for yourself naturally with a win, and then it's sustainable. And that's the point here. It's like we're shifting just a little bit. Little bits. What do I need right now, in this moment? Not just like so focused on the goal, you never get there. It's really hard to get there. But if you can do the daily habits.
It's more than that. Give yourself permission.
There you go.
That's the secret sauce, is because we all want to do the things, but you want to give yourself the permission to win there. You want to give yourself the win. We all know what we need to do. The self-discovery is the remembering of what you already know. Topher, you already know. It's just that's giving yourself permission every day to give yourself that little piece of grace, that little, I'm going to do this one thing today, the snap. I'm going to do the one thing today. I'm going to do the check-in. Kate had me put those reminders on my phone. I'm kind of scared to have Kate in here because you're going to realize how little of the information I brought you is actually original information. Like, it's a lot of these reminders were Kate's idea. Like, I need to have this stop and breathe and stop and anyway, it's all the small, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but it's the small practices of success that create a momentum where you don't feel this lost, hopeless, powerless victim mentality. Because let me just say, those four things are not who you are, but that's who you're identifying with. And no wonder you feel out of control, because that's not who you are. You got to step back into who you are, and you can get rid of some of these things. But it's just not as easy as that. It's like talking to a depressed person and being like, well, how about you get out of bed and put your shoes on and go for a walk? That's just not how easy it is. Sometimes you need to have someone hold your hand and give you the little next bit. But the self-awareness is, in my opinion, the very first step in the process. Like knowing who you are, what your superpowers are, giving yourself the grace to not do the things you're not good at. I feel as though as a leader, I'm a leader. I've always been a leader. I've been a leader since I was a little boy on the playground. Kate, guess what we're doing? We're playing dodgeball. That's what's going down today. And everybody's like, okay, I guess we're playing dodgeball. I've been that kid my whole life. But the fact of the matter is leadership isn't making a decision and going for it. It's about bringing everybody with you. It's about creating the confidence where people are like, I like what he's about. I like how authentic he is. I like the direction. I like how I feel when I show up and I'm in the line. I like how that feels. I want more of that. And that's how I can become a better leader, is in the space of my superpower. Does that make sense? Rather than, you should do something charitable. Well, no shit. Everybody knows that. But the fact of the matter is that's not how I lead. I lead by, this is a wonderful experience. And I felt so good when I was in that space. And you had that written on there. Leadership is self-awareness and confidence. Yes. And those things go right together. Yeah. Powerful. Man, such good stuff. How you feeling, Toph?
I've got some emotions going on that I'm afraid to feel at the moment. But
oh man.
Good shit. Good stuff.
Well, here's the other thing about a great coach, is that you need to find a great coach like Kate that gives you permission to be yourself. In the self-discovery, there's a couple times we had some really very difficult conversations on my side, not Kate's side, on my side, because we were talking about the parts of me that I'm not proud of, the parts of me that, in fact, I could say that I'm ashamed of, and doing it in such a way that I felt she was still going to offer me the coaching I needed to become better in that space. And so getting to ground zero, getting to the space of I don't know, is a beautiful place to be. And if that's the space that you're in, then then congratulations.
Mhm.
That's a great space to be in, because from that space, then who do you want to be, Topher? What do you want to create? How can you lean into that, right, Kate? And
100%.
what some of the questions that Kate would ask me are simple questions of like, if you could define that perfect experience, what would it look like? You need to define that. And then a lot of times we did group our marriage counseling with her. It wasn't really marriage counseling, but we were as a couple going to see Kate, and the questions that she would ask were questions that Annie and I would go home and talk about, well, what do we want from our relationship? Where do I see myself with you down the road? And being able to tell that story, because that's something else I didn't communicate very well. So there's a lot of it. There's a lot of pieces to this. In the youth part that we're stepping into, I'm very excited because Kate's going to be testing both of my older daughters.
Oh, nice.
I cannot wait to find. I think I know who they are.
Hold on. Do you use these magic words on me that you're trying to gain using your daughters now?
Yeah.
Ah, crap.
I use them all the time. In fact, Annie knows me so well. She'll be like, "Don't do that. Don't use those words on me." Okay, I'm sorry, but they're just such a part of who I am. I say them quite often, and anyway, I'm excited for my daughters to have this experience, and then for Kate to take a few minutes to be like, "And this is what it means. This is how it works for you. This is how it's going to benefit you." And so it's a tremendous opportunity for young people, for every people. Every people needs to do this. It's important. And if you don't know how to do it, have the conversation with Kate. If I were to try to find you, Kate, where could I find you?
You can find me at Kate Strong World on Instagram. I have a website too, Kate Strong World. Or reach out to Rob and say, hook me up with Kate, and he'll do it.
Oh man, the number of people I've sent to Kate is significant.
It is.
Because it's the only intentional coaching that I've ever got.
Well, and actually, if I can, from an outside perspective here, you have an ability, you talk to him. He listened to what you were saying. And sorry, big fella, but that's a hard task for somebody to step into that role.
Oh, yeah.
And you, again, outside perspective, you walked right in and was it immediately, and he took it serious.
Not true. Actually, that's not true.
No?
I was around Kate long enough to understand her character. I was on her podcast way back with Adam Nugent. The podcast was called
Good News Utah.
Good News
Nugent,
Utah.
Good News. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was on this podcast, and I sat across from beautiful Kate and beautiful Adam, and we had this conversation. And I'm like, wow, what am I doing talking to these amazing specimens? You know what I mean? These guys are amazing and they're smart, and they were asking me questions, talked about my nonprofit. And then after that, we just kind of created a friendship where we stayed in touch for a period of time. But the thing that Kate just kept showing up with integrity. And I don't give trust very easily. Like I love everybody. But to like truly listen and trust somebody, it took a long time for me to put Kate to that point. And so when I have people that come into my life and they're struggling with this or that, understanding who they are, finding their purpose, feeling lost, feeling like how did you say that? The ship without a
rudder.
Without a rudder. That's so perfect. Such a perfect illustration. I'm like, well, you've got to talk to my shaman. Let me get you in touch with Kate. And I can say that with such confidence and such gratitude, because you've been such a huge influence in my life. And the thing that's good about Kate is she approaches it with such authenticity. There's not an angle. It really is. You're there to help, and you really are there you find a tremendous amount of satisfaction in helping someone discover the things you've helped me discover. And it's great. I think everybody should have a Kate. And if you don't, get in touch with me. I'll line you up.
I'll make it happen.
It's so good. Yeah. Kate and I are actually doing some training together for real estate agents here coming up in the near future. Kate does sound baths. She does quite a lot of things. She creates, is it Power Up?
Oh, Empower Holiday, helping single moms for Christmas. Yeah.
So you're into a lot of amazing things. And so if you're going to create alignment, this is a great person to align with. And I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being on our podcast.
Thank you for being in my life, Rob.
Yeah, grateful.
Such a gift, such a pleasure to be able to work with you and be in your community and experience you, and even just watch. You gave me a lot of confidence in this process and what I've created, right? Because you watch someone, and I've been with Rob for years, to be able to watch this because he does it. That's the thing about Rob. Like, he's going to do the work, and it requires that. And so watching him do it and watching it transform his life, like in front of my eyes, I'm like, this works. It's legit. So thank you for being someone who modeled that so beautifully.
Wow, what a tremendous compliment. Thank you.
Guess that's the end of the road.
Yeah. Like us, follow us,
share, subscribe, the whole gambit. Kate, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
This was a treat. Really and truly had the same experience last time. This is times 10. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We'll catch you on the next one, everybody.